waiting on the go. Should have turned it on earlier. Technology.
Yeah, don't touch it. Just leave it as long as it says start recording. The worst that'll happen is it'll record, but it won't go live. And then I'll have to get it downloaded and put it back up. So if you hit start recording, it'll record whatever you're doing in this room, regardless.
Okay.
So I don't know why it's not working, but it's not working.
So should we just start?
Yep.
All right. So I'm calling the Board of Selectmen Wednesday, October 18th meeting to order. Can you please rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
And have you guys had a chance to look over the minutes for the October 4th?
Yes.
Yep.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of October 4th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. We do have a correspondence. This was sent in to us by James Wesselcouch. He wanted to give his deepest thanks to two of our Public Works employees, Steve and Butch, for stopping to assist me after I had a tire blow at our Town Street and Brook Hill Road intersection. They are the reason that living in a small rural town like East Haddam has huge benefits. They deserve a big shout out. Thank you, and thanks Steve and Butch so much. Jim Wesselcouch.
Nice.
Yeah, we got some good guys out there on our Public Works. First Selectmen's report, I guess I just want to give you an update. We had our bridge meeting again today. So right now, how it's working is if they need it over the weekend, there is overnight closures, but they're not scheduling them as of yet. They are going to be more frequent once they go to the one lane closure. But for now, the weekend nights, just so you all know, is Monday and Tuesday night. They look to close at 7 p.m. and they open by 6 a.m., although they have been opening by around 3 to 4. I did have a conversation with them. Somebody had asked, well, if they're always opening at 3, why can't they close at 9?
Yeah.
But the only reason that they have those 2 extra hours in case something happens, and if something happens and they don't open at 6, then that could really mess people up. So they really have to leave it at 6 to opening at 6, and then if it opens at 3, it opens at 3. Wednesday night and Thursday night, they close at 11, and they open again at least by 6. And then Friday night and Saturday night, if they need those closures, they'll close at 11:30, but they'll open at 6 a.m. And then Sunday night, they close at 10. So those are the closure dates for now. After Martin Luther, okay, so as I said last meeting, December 1, there'll be no more closures, no more 63-hour closures, and they're gonna do one lane traffic, alternating traffic with a traffic light. They'll be watching the traffic light. If they see a circumstance where they need to adjust either the time within the alternating, they'll do that, or they'll do something else, but they'll try and work with, what's going on as far as the traffic goes. After Martin Luther King Day, January 15th, through March 31, there is no bridge openings at all. As of January 15th, all of the electrical is going to be stripped out of the bridge, so there's no way to open the bridge. So, and then this is when they're gonna start putting it in. Right now, what they're doing is they're working on getting the electrical conduit underneath. You don't see them as much on top anymore. They're putting all the electric conduit that they're gonna be running the new stuff through. They're finishing up the end caps and the infrastructure for the approaches on either side of the bridge. But they're getting all that cleaned up. By November 15th, you'll see the dredging fleet come. So they'll be starting to dredge for the cable that's going underneath. So that work is gonna begin as of then, but as of December 1, excuse me, not the 15th of January, December 1, all of those electrical things will be stripped. So a lot of the work that you're gonna see from December 1 on, is all gonna be underneath pretty much, but it is still gonna be one lane because they have to have access over the side and under and all that. So just so you know what's happening there. After January 15th through March 31st, they are going to do closures every night. Every night it's going to close at 7, including Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday, it'll open at 8 a.m. the following day. So Saturday and Sunday mornings, it opens at 8. And the other mornings, it'll open at 6. But every night it's open. And Goodspeed was on the call. And they're done as of January 15th for shows. I think they start earlier than March 31st, but they didn't bring it up, so I'm thinking, I thought they did their little vignette things
Oh,
prior
yeah,
to the
they're like new
31st.
writers, musical.
But I don't know, we'll
They
see.
can do it
But
in
they didn't bring it
April.
up, so I'm not gonna bring up their stuff at this point. I wouldn't know for
So
sure.
it's closing at 7 every night?
7 every night, yeah. Halloween night, though, we did ask today's meeting if we could get it to close later than 7 p.m. because it's a Tuesday this year. And they came back later this afternoon and said, yes, they can make that happen. So they're not gonna close the bridge Halloween night until 10 p.m. So just so you know about that.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Mechanically, though, are they doing gears and stuff like that, or
Doing it all the mechanicals, all the electrical.
nothing has to be lifted up?
Yeah, they haven't brought up when they're gonna like cut the hole and get the big gear out, but
That's what
I
I was
believe that's
wondering.
part of it,
Like,
yes.
that's kind of like the biggest part of the project, no?
Yeah, definitely. And really, I mean, the paper kind of said something today, like it's winding down. The closures are winding down, but this is like the meat of the job. So this is the real crux of everything that's happening, as far as the mechanicals and electrical and electronic and all moving the, the thing and pulling out the gear, all of that is, yes. So it's really, this is go time for them. They will be working there 24/7.
Okay.
So anyway, so that's what's going on there. We've had some questions lately about Public Works, so I actually checked in with Michelle Velez, our Public Works Director, and I just wanted to share that Public Works this year she has digitized everything now. We have a digital work order system so that everything is documented as far as what we do. So when people do have questions about what's going on with Public Works, she has now set up a system where she can actually answer this. She can tell you anything and everything that was going on, what day, and what, position and where everything is. So this is now digitally available. So this past year, when she's since been here, she just had her year anniversary yesterday, she has a record of everything that's been done. Prior to this, we don't have as much. And she did try and compile what she could. There was a question in regards to how many roads were chip sealed last year and how many the year before. But the year before is very sketchy. We don't really know for sure what was done and what wasn't done. We can approximate it, but we know exactly how much we've done this year. But anyways, just to understand what's going on with this digital work order system, like I said, everything can be processed. The other thing too is she's also created a digital billing process for Public Works and the transfer station, and created a digital filing system for all the documents. So everything is now digitally online. So it works great. A lot of what they've done too this year in town is they've worked on a lot of drainage issues. Powerhouse Road is one, North Moodus Road, Davison is done. We've also worked with the state to get some state roads done. There was a lot of couple of different spots on Mount Parnassus, and all of these drainage issues are solving the icing problems that they've had on these roads. So part of what they're doing in regards to building these roads and sealing roads is they've got to get the drainage and the culverts done first, and so that's what they've really been doing a lot of. I think it was Ed that was here in one meeting, and he asked about the white spots. They're also going through and cleaning up all the catch basins. They do that every year, but the white spots on the road shows that this catch basin is done, so that they don't have to send somebody with them and spend our guys' time just standing there watching them work. Similar to the way that we do it with the tree stuff. It's already in the contract that our guys have to sit and watch them do the trees so that they can take and remove the tree debris. In the next year contract, we're taking that out, so we can take our guys off the babysitting and move it on to, doing other work, and then we can go back and just collect all the wood later. So those are things that she's honestly put in place that I think has done great. She's also cleaned up all the roadside drainage and the swales throughout town, and she's got a lot of training that she's had them do: snowplow safety, street signing and safety, bloodborne pathogens, fire extinguisher safety, transfer station scale house. They've auctioned off vehicles and equipment that are not being used at a tune of about $73,000 for the town. So that's an interactive auction site that we've used in the past, and then for some reason it stopped being used. Now we're using it again, we're getting that money back, so we can throw that back into equipment for the new equipment, so that's a good thing. A lot of tree removal, I mean, we can go through, there's about 15, 16, probably more than that, probably 20 streets that she did that on. As far as paving and reclamations of roads, it's actually 4.98 miles. AP Gates, Creek Road, Bashan, and Sheepskin Hollows right now in process. There's a lot of curbing repair and replacement through town, catch basin replacement on Bashan and AP Gates, and then obviously the street signs and inventory of the entire town has been done, and we're getting all the signs changed to meet standard, including full size and appropriate reflection, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the big things they're working on is Lake Hayward has big drainage issues, and they've always had them, and they've been freezing and everything else down up there, so they've now worked on their the drainage upgrade out in Lake Hayward. So that's most of what they've done. There's a few more things that isn't on the list, like the sidewalk is finally completed and all that, but there's been a lot done, and they've been very busy and working very hard. So kudos to Michelle and our Public Works Department. I think they're doing a fabulous job, and thank you for being the liaison and working with Michelle on various other things. So it's nice that they're,
No credit to me. They're doing it all.
yeah, but we still appreciate it. Public comment? Nothing. Okay, thank you. All right, so unfinished business, we have the Board of Selectmen and Treasurer term length ordinance discussion. This is ongoing. We're still gonna just wait, put this off. We're not gonna do anything with this now. Open space award discussion on Kronberg, as well as the bond authorization for open space. We have a long-term capital meeting coming up too that we'll be talking about, but we have a call into, or we should have a call into our bond, not only our bond council that actually puts the bond resolutions together, but also our bonding
Our financial advisor.
so that we can understand where we are in the whole bonding, like how much bonding authority do we have, how much bonds, how many bonds are we paying for now versus how many can we add, etc. So we're trying to just get a handle on that, because not only do we have this open space, but not that I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, but we have HVAC going on with the schools. They're discussing applying for a grant. We have a firehouse that's going to fall down on millions of dollars worth of equipment, and we have a library that is, in discussion. So none of these are all going to get done in the same year, but some of them are becoming more priority than not, and so we've got to look at those, and we've got to really determine what's the priority here and how do we step forward and how much can we do, especially going through the contentious budget situation we've had. I don't know that the climate right now in the town is interested in spending any more money at this point, but unfortunately we're going to have to spend it and get some of these things done as we move forward. So before we talk about this open space thing, I think there's some things that are more important. But at the same time, there's also scheduling as far as how these things need to go through, the public meetings. One of the things that I thought, and I had mentioned this before, I think, is that I wanted to have some kind of public meeting so that people understand what this open space bond authorization is, because I think people think that we're going to just go out and just spend $5 million on open space when it's taken us 20 years to spend the first 5. The other thing I brought up at the Board of Finance meeting last night was that I thought that, maybe something we could think about, we have to figure out how to make it work, is to, rather than putting $5 million aside for open space, split it and do economic development and put 2.5 out for open development, economic development, and 2.5 for open space. Because then it's a more balanced approach to what we need to do, because open space, it saves the town money. We don't have to put in roads. We don't have kids going into the schools, so we don't have that added expense. But if we put some money into economic development, we're actually increasing our tax base and diversifying the tax base, which is important, because right now everything falls on the taxpayers and we don't have a lot of business, business tax and commercial tax. So maybe if we do a little bit of both, then we're a little bit more, balanced in what our approach is for that. So I threw that out there. They're thinking about it, and we'll have further discussions. Some of the stuff with economic development is hard to bond, unless we're putting in a community center, which we're not talking about doing, just so you know. But we have to figure out what is bondable and what isn't in regards to community or economic development. So we'll have to see what that is. It could be, improvements in infrastructure or whatever. So I don't know. We got to look at it. But I thought that I'd throw that out there just to throw something in the ointment, mix it up a little bit. So anyways, I think we should put that off if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Again,
Again, the timeline I'm looking for is if you're gonna have a public hearing, or a
public meeting.
informational meeting, I'm looking for that in November. I'm looking for the Board of Finance, and Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance to do the resolutions in December. Town meeting, third week of January, and referendum the last Tuesday in January.
And that's for the open space.
That's for this open space stuff. Now, if they tack on, because the
HVAC.
HVAC has to be some type of a commitment
Yeah.
by December 31st.
Yeah, so we're waiting to see whether last night at the Board of Finance meeting, or I'm sorry, I keep saying last night, it was Monday night. It all runs together. Cindy Hewson, who's working on the grant for the HVAC, was looking for the Board of Finance to give them a commitment on the fact that if she goes for the grant, can we commit to the other half of the grant monies? And we were like, yeah, they weren't prepared to do that as of yet. But what they did say is that we're obviously, for you going to apply for the grant. So she's gonna try and find out whether or not that's enough of an approval to go ahead and go for the grant, or do we have to have a town meeting to see if the town would have the wherewithal to approve going for that grant. And how they have to do that is they have to commit the entire amount for the entire project that would be on the grant. The middle school is not old enough to be included in the grant. The high school and the elementary school is, and the two are together a little over $8 million. So we would have to put in for $8 million. And they also want to do another $2.5 million on top of that for the high school, if they did all of the HVAC.
The middle school, if they did the HVAC.
I'm sorry, the middle school. So anyways, that's the kind of numbers that they're throwing around for HVAC. So anyway, so we'll have to figure that out. As soon as they have what they have or what they need, then we can have another conversation.
How we would get it to referendum before December 31st.
Yeah, I don't know either.
With elections and holidays.
Yeah.
That'd
It's gonna be
tough.
difficult. The Eversource aerial easement, they were supposed to talk about it at the last P and Z, but they canceled their P and Z meeting, so we have to wait on that one. And just so you know, we were gonna put that with 2 grants that we need to accept into a town meeting on November 1st, but we're not going to put the aerial easement because it won't be passed in time when we don't have the time. So we're gonna take that out and just do the 2 grants so we can just keep moving things along.
So the ordinance and the
So we'll
grant.
have, ordinance, right. Thank you. So anyways, just so you know that unfortunately, because they canceled, we gotta pull it out and we'll throw it on another meeting, but that's a minimal thing. Did we get answers back on the winter sand?
Mhm.
Oh, we did? Okay, I don't know that I didn't realize we did that already.
Yep, we're ready.
All right, so the next up, new business is winter sand and snow and ice control. Michelle had put out an RFP and had gotten some bids on this. As you can see, the sand is this, did she say that she wanted to go to the lowest bid is Hubert Butler.
No, Haynes is the
Haynes.
lowest.
Oh, Haynes is the lowest, I'm sorry, Haynes is the lowest. But she didn't want to do that one, or did she
No, if you
decide?
read her letter,
Yeah.
it tells you why. Their sand is
Oh, right,
The
okay,
course-
yep, she
Not-
told me
It's
about
the
this.
coarseness of it, or the
It's not as
com-
high quality
the
as
compound of
Butler's.
it, yeah,
And
correct.
it
Too much
destroyed,
dirt
when
in
we
it,
did use them, it
yeah, it-
destroyed our equipment and jammed up. And she said for 40 cents a cubic yard, we're better off to use a higher grade sand. Saves time in the long run with the equipment and with the guys.
Okay, that's what I thought, okay, I wasn't, all right. So we need a motion to, award the bid for the purchase of the sand and snow and ice control to Hubert Butler Construction LLC in the amount of 25.4 cubic yard, per cubic yard, subject to documentation that the sand is in compliance with the town specifications and that the insurance requirements for the award are satisfied. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, so that one's done. And then next up is, this is the contracted snow plowing. We do this every year. We just set the price on what we will pay for this. So we're looking for, to accept the recommendation of the Public Works Director to set the snow plowing rates as follows, between 10,000 and 25,999 gross vehicle weight, with plow and sander at $200 per hour, over 26,000 with plow and sander $250 per hour, and over 26,000 gross vehicle weight with plow and V-Jet sander $330 per hour. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you very much. All right, next up, we have a call for our town meeting. This is, the electors and citizens of the town of East Haddam qualified to vote in town meeting are hereby warned and notified that a special town meeting will be held in the municipal office complex, meetings 1 and 2, located on One Plains Road in Moodus, Connecticut, on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, at 8 p.m. for the following purposes to wit. Item 1, to consider and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Resolve that the solid waste ordinance, Article 2, Section 296-6, licensing of commercial collectors, fees, item B, adopted July 24th, 1990, and amended at town meeting on March 28th, 2018, is hereby amended as follows. B, all licenses for a period of 1 year from date of issuance. The license fee shall be paid in advance by granting said license. The fee for the license shall be, and we're deleting $250 per year and adding, set by the Board of Selectmen for fiscal year 2023. This fee will be set at $500 and will not be increased by more than 25% annually in subsequent years. Copies of said ordinance are on file in the town clerk's office during regular business hours. Item 2, to consider and act upon the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance to adopt the following resolution. Resolved that a Lower Connecticut River Valley Heritage Trail Bike Path East Haddam grant in the amount of $32,000 is hereby accepted upon the terms and conditions set forth in a certain personal services agreement between the town of East Haddam, the state of Connecticut, Department of Environmental Protection, Bureau of Outdoor Recreation, State Parks Division, for the purpose of planning and designing an outdoor bike path. Bike path.
Yes, bike.
Account 105-49010-59700. In addition, the first selectman, Irene Haynes, is hereby authorized to enter into such agreements, contracts, and execute all documents necessary to said grant in the name and on behalf of the town of East Haddam for the fulfillment of the Lower Connecticut River Valley Heritage Trail Bike Path East Haddam grant with the State of Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection, Bureau of Outdoor Recreation, State Parks Division, dated at East Haddam, Connecticut, the 18th day of October, 2023. I need a motion for the following call.
I know, I literally was like, I bet Linda's gonna wanna fix this.
Yeah, I wanna fix it.
You want to fix the bike and the bike,
Yeah,
bacon the bike?
as soon as the meeting's over, I'll just quick change the A to an I and then you can sign.
So do I have that motion?
You do. So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I don't want it to go out that way.
All right, so we don't sign that one, is what you're saying?
Nope, yep, I'll have, right after the meeting, I'll print a new one.
All right, so we have a Board and Commission committee changes. We are unfortunately looking to accept with regret that Melanie Kolick has got some exciting work commitment changes going on, and she is resigning from her position as chair and member of the redevelopment agency. So we are looking right now for the redevelopment agency to at least appoint a new chair. And what we're doing is we're putting the call out for the next 2 weeks from now until November 1st for anybody who wants to apply for that position, as well as look at the prior applications that we have. So between that and the new applications, we will appoint a new member.
Will we be able to interview again? At the time, again, and when I say we, it's the board, whoever the board is at the time,
The redevelopment board or us board?
us board.
The.
So yes, you have the applicants that maybe not made it, but maybe there's some new applicants I'd like to at least
Yeah, I would
have
imagine that
the
new
board,
applicants,
this
yeah.
board, actually do the interviews the same as we did originally, because I think it's a worthwhile
Yeah,
endeavor, simply because of the importance of it.
I know you're a stickler about these things.
I
so
am.
Absolutely. No, that's fine. We can do that. Yeah. So we're gonna put it out there saying that for the next 2 weeks, anybody else who's interested in getting on the redevelopment agency, fill out a volunteer form, and then we'll interview, and then we'll see if we can, the new board will appoint whoever they appoint at a later date. In the meantime, the agency will move on and find their own chair.
Sorry to hear that she
Yeah.
had to move on, but
Yeah, she's
Good
got
for her.
she's got some big things coming up for her at her place of employment, so they're asking her to step up to another role, so she's like, something's gotta give, so. And she hates to do this because she's literally been involved with,
We have a first and a second yet? I don't think so.
do we
No, not
have a
yet.
motion? Oh, so I'm asking for a motion to accept with deep regret the resignation of Melanie Kolick from the redevelopment agency.
So moved.
second, with regret.
All those in favor?
Aye.
With
Aye.
regret. Aye.
That's why I'm always like, we don't have to do it. She's stuck with us, right? I always think these are funny.
Yeah, she has done a really good
No, I'm
job. She's really moved it along and everything there, so. But it is what it is. Somebody else will take the reins. They'll be fine. All right, we have some tax refunds coming up next. Motion made and seconded to award the following tax refunds in the amounts as presented. $44.78 to Seth Whiting, $550.98 to Toyota Lease Trust, and $546.55 to Vault Trust. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. All right, back to public comment.
Yeah, just some clarification on the,
John, I'm sorry, can I have you come up just because,
or I'll identify myself.
that's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
John Olin, 61 Hemlock Valley Road. I would just like some clarification on the bond authorization for open space, so that I understand what the chronology is. I believe I heard that there would be an open space referendum the last Tuesday in January, if I'm not correct. I'm not
That's what we're
mistaken.
aiming for.
that's what we're aiming for. It doesn't, it's not in stone
set in
anywhere yet.
stone.
The new board is gonna be the one that sets, the new board is gonna be
Yes.
the one that sets the schedule.
And that, of course, would be preceded by an informational meeting, and would there be a town meeting, or is that,
A referendum is an adjourned, or is a continuation of a town meeting. So you have to have a town meeting
Yes.
first in order to send the item to
yes,
referendum.
yes.
So what I suggested, John, on this was to have a town meeting, information meeting, which is not a town meeting.
Yes.
It's just
I
like what we're
understand.
doing for broadband, you know, it's
Yes,
just having a
yes.
meeting so that people can come in and ask questions about what does this $5 million thing mean?
I guess that's called a public hearing as well.
It's not necessarily a hearing. It's
Informational
more of a
forum?
public informational
Informational
meeting.
forum,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and then that goes back, Irene, to your remarks about, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
to maybe considering splitting a $5 million bond between economic development and open space, if indeed the statutes permit such a thing.
Right.
And that informational meeting would be part of that discussion.
Yeah,
would
we
be
have to
part-
look into that and see what economic development type initiatives could be bonded for.
Yes,
Yeah, so it's all kind of very nebulous at this point.
thank you, that clarifies.
But to understand what a bond authorization is, it's not like there's $5 million already earmarked.
I understand.
It's, you know, the town is agreeing to spend up to $5 million at some point, maybe 20, 30, 40 years down the road. But it's a commitment that the town has, not that we have to put that money up front. And each item that you're taking out of that bond authorization still individually has to go to town meeting or referendum.
Just like the Kronberg property has to go to a town meeting
Yes.
and then a referendum.
And that $5 million has to be raised from the taxpayers? Or is this a bond that we acquire from the state?
So when we go
right.
for
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
grant, okay, like for the Kronberg property, we had to tell the state or whoever gave it to us that we're going for the entire purchase price of that land. So I think it's 243,000 that we're paying for that. So we put 243 aside at the town level and 243 for the grant, okay?
Yes.
But we had to actually go to the town for authorizing the whole amount. And then we come back, now that we've gotten the grant money, now we have to go back to the town and say, can we spend the 243 on the town
Yeah.
side?
And I think the Conservation Commission and other groups would want to weigh in on that.
Yeah. Sure.
Going forward.
So we'll definitely have meetings about that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other public comments?
Just
The
make
lady in the
sure.
back?
Okay, under, the last item was be liaison reports. Anything, guys?
Just a reminder that next Thursday is the day of broadband things happening here.
Broadband, East Haddam Fiber, Day, 10 a.m., 12
Seniors.
p.m., and 7. 3 different workshops predominantly to disseminate the information about East Haddam broadband and what we can do, what we think we can do. We are gearing each one to a certain population, because 10 a.m. in the morning, if the seniors, if that works for them, they can come over and we can talk to them specifically about what it can do for them. At noontime, it's gonna be a business kind of lunch and learn, so we've invited the businesses to come in with their lunch bags and have lunch and, talk about how broadband can help them and their businesses. And then 7 p.m. is, everybody else or anybody who can't come during the day, they can come at night and vice versa. So it's not, it's not limited to anybody, but those are the kind of things. But there is a frequently asked questions page on the East Haddam Fiber website, so you can go there. But also during the day there, you can submit questions, and at 7 p.m. meeting, we'll try and answer all the questions that people send in at 7 p.m. meeting. Entry Point will be with us in all 3 of those meetings, so we'll have the consultant that we've been working with for, I don't know, a year now, between the exploratory, and now we're trying to do the implementing of the broadband, and they'll be able to answer a lot of questions.
Just wondering, is there any new information that they have that we haven't already covered during our meetings?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. This is kind of, I think, doing
just more for
basically
the-
what we did for the public.
For the
so,
public,
yeah.
more for the public, not that
Right.
they weren't invited to this one, but I mean,
Yep.
so there's nothing necessarily new that we can learn
No.
from their point of view.
No, I don't think so. I would say the only thing I would add is that,
Hearing what everybody else has to ask,
Yeah.
and they might be asking things that we never did, so I mean,
Right.
there could be something that could be
True.
learned. And what we'll do is that if there are any questions that are asked through any of the things, we will go ahead and add those to the frequently asked questions, because some of those questions people are gonna, so we'll add it to our site so that all of those questions will be there. So if you miss it,
Okay.
you just go there and there's the questions that people ask.
One thing I'm still curious about is, where is Frontier? Have they reached out to you or any of these other towns that they're now
They
stringing
reached out to us,
early,
yeah,
prior to
but
the
they haven't come in.
broadband discussion?
they haven't come in since.
But-
I have heard from Comcast, they wanna sit down and talk. So I'm
I
like,
just
okay.
find it funny because I've seen the infrastructure going in from Frontier, but I haven't heard
Not a
any
hookups
rumors.
yet.
I haven't heard any discussions being had about what they can offer, what they can do.
Yeah, I think, I wanna
I'm
say.
getting a lot of targeted ads from them.
Yeah, what are the ads saying? It's like
Like,
49.
Well, but then
$9.99
it's
on
slashed out.
Jetnet
It says
Westlake.
$39.99, like for a limited time.
They can offer you 0, and it's still going to go up in a month.
Well, that's what they also say for a limited time, and I was like, yeah,
You know,
we know.
I'm curious because I know that you had mentioned that they had reached out
Yeah.
at one point, and then they've been
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of like
they
a
reached out,
ghost
they
town.
said they're coming in, they're gonna go ahead and put the stuff up, and I said, okay, I mean, there's nothing I can do to stop
Right,
them.
right.
Comcast is, like I said, now reached out, and so I'm checking in with Craig actually to have him sit with me when we sit and talk to Comcast. because they're, so I mean, this is a good thing. This is a good thing, right? They're all competing.
Competition.
And then once we put our lines in, then they can jump on our lines if they want the business. So really what Frontier's doing is it's kind of helping us with educating the public, because anybody who's really interested in this broadband is jumping on now with Frontier, which means those people are educated. So then once we get to the point where we're actually putting in,
Rolling out, yeah.
rolling it out, they'll be at their end of their contract with them, and they're gonna either have to keep it in order to keep the business or lowball it. Either way, the consumers are winning here, which is important.
And Deep sent out information. They're going to be kind of doing a series of
Some of us
informational
are going to that.
forums across the state. So the state stuff is kind of moving as well. And
Which is good for us.
yeah, my fundamental question about the grants are geared towards underserved communities, and so with Frontier putting in lines, does that somehow make us ineligible? Would be something that hopefully we can get answered. But I also,
That's a good
like,
question.
again, not a single I don't know anyone who's actually been able to connect into their system
Nobody's
yet.
connected yet. But the underserved, does the underserved count for the last mile?
I think it,
Like
I think
Frontier's
it,
doing
right,
the middle
well,
mile,
right?
right? So we need the end mile, and there's nobody out there with that final mile,
Right.
that last mile. So that could put us back into the underserved.
Yeah, no, I think yeah.
There's lots of answers coming, and the fact that the state is finally moving along their broadband stuff is good for us too, because then we can see what the grant money looks like and how
What's
we
the
can
date
go
on
from
that for the 7 p.m.?
The 26th.
Ours is the 7.
Next
Here?
Thursday.
Next
Yeah,
Thursday.
next Thursday, 7 p.m.
May I come up? John Olin, again, 61 Hemlock Valley Road. I'd like another clarification. My brain was jogged when you started talking about broadband information, and made me think of the library board. The strategic plan is also being discussed at informational meetings this week. Could you give me a little bit of a outline of where it stands now in terms of the study that was done and what we're looking
Talking
at?
about the building?
Well, just in general, yes, the building.
So their strategic plan meetings are about their strategic plan, and it really doesn't have to do with the building necessarily. It's more of what they're doing programming wise and all of that. So that's a internal strategic plan. They're as curious as you are as about where we're at. We're waiting on numbers from the additional study we're doing to try and figure out, of the options that we have, what those dollars look like. And then we'll put that out. So we don't have anything as of yet, but once we have that information as to what these library buildings are gonna look like, and at least how much they're gonna look, what kind of price tag we're looking at, then we can form a building committee, and then they can go, depending on where the town is, where their comfort level is. Right, so we will do that, but we have all kinds of different directions to go in, and rather than sending them in all kinds of different directions, we kind of wanted to at least narrow the focus.
Yes.
So once we get those numbers back, we'll put it out to the town will do a survey of some kind, and then we'll be able to put together that building committee, and then off they go.
So am I given to understand that the architects, or the group of people who are looking at this,
Yep.
are going to provide the town with various options in certain price ranges, so to speak?
Yeah, what they're trying to do is they're trying to look at the feasibility of the renovations and what kind of space, if there's room to do the ADA compliance, if there's room to create bigger libraries in the spaces we have, which we kind of already know probably not, but we're still gonna look at whatever we can as far as the footprints that we have currently, and if there's room on those land masses to make them bigger. So they're looking at those two buildings, they're looking at downstairs, they're looking at the buildings plan to do the building between the Grange and the Old Town Hall, and then a separate building here, just for example. So they can see, those are the kind of options that are out there, and what those options mean in regards to, how much it's gonna cost.
So the original objective of the study, I had thought, was to decide whether those two existing library buildings would not be kept, and that a new building would, or a new situation would have to be found. But what I'm hearing now is that there still is the possibility that there may be some renovations and expansions of the existing
Yeah,
library
I mean,
buildings.
if nothing else, we have to make them ADA compliant.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of what spurred this in the first
Yes.
place. This is like, the prime mover in
Yes.
all of this. We kind of think that it's gonna cost X amount of dollars, but we don't know for sure. So now we have an architectural or building firm, engineering firm that's put together, or is putting together numbers to say, that's what this is gonna cost. And while they're there, if they're putting in a thing for an elevator shaft, if they put it on the outside of the building, because they have to do some kind of ADA compliant there, is there room to make the building a little bit bigger and help? Because right now, some of the buildings, even if they put the elevator in, you can't get through the aisles with a wheelchair because they're not ADA accessible. So we have to widen those out. So we have to make room or take stacks out to make it ADA compliant. So that's the problem, is that some of them are just too tight. So in that, they're looking at the buildings to see whether or not, do they have to take a stack out, or can they move a wall out by 5 feet? So that's the kind of thing I'm talking
If my
about.
memory serves me, when I looked at the initial study, there was something about having the buildings assessed for value, real estate value.
Yep.
Was that done?
Again, I want to say, I think that's part of the plan. We haven't gotten it yet, so as soon as we get it, we'll know. But I think that is part, I mean, that's certainly part of the plan going forward. If we
Yes.
were to move,
Yes, yeah.
those buildings would, certainly be,
Thank you for the
try to
clarification.
offset the cost.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, no other liaison? You don't have anything?
I think the only other thing with broadband,
Sustainability, wasn't there a thing for sustainability recently?
there
was
is
in talking that she
upcoming
went to a-
something.
We have 350 points toward our 500,
Yes, towards,
so we're getting there.
yes,
Okay.
for gold, but did we?
Did we get silver?
Silver?
We
I
didn't
think
get
we got
silver, did
silver.
No, I don't think we
I didn't
did.
get
we
any
not get it?
notification.
Sorry,
I don't think we got it yet, because
No,
she was in talking to James.
Statewide.
She went to
The
the
awards, yeah.
awards, but we don't get it yet. Okay, it was last night. I thought there was
Correct.
something.
We're working towards the silver.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
then hopefully towards 500.
perfect. All right. Lastly, just a couple of events. We've got Halloween in the Village on Saturday, fingers crossed. We'll see. I haven't heard anything about it not happening, but it looks pretty wet out there. We'll see.
I don't.
I did hear that
it's-
the candy drop that they were
Yeah,
gonna do at
they
the
moved
airport,
to-
they moved it to
to
Sunday.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see about that.
It's astonishing how many Saturdays it has rained in the past. This
in
will
the
be like,
last 15, it has rained 12.
wow, yeah, no, it's,
Look at
Pretty
you with those
impressive.
stats. Those are,
Now
that's a quick stat.
That's a stat. No, I just saw it the other day with the weather. Drug take back next Saturday,
28th.
28th. Drug take back right here. Bring in your unused portions of your drugs and all that. Keep them off the streets. Great idea. And lastly, Project Safe Halloween, October 31st, right here at Town Hall. Bring the kids, bring the grandparents.
go over the
5 to 8,
bridge
and the
at-
bridge doesn't close until 10. So all the goblins have to be home and out of here by 10. All right, do I have a motion to
Nope,
adjourn?
not yet.
Oh,
The
Oh.
meeting on November 15th.
so
Your
November
last meeting
15th is technically our last
Right.
board meeting. And we have the swearing in that evening for
Right.
the new slate that gets elected. And that's at 7. So we were gonna move this meeting back to 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Is that a problem for anybody? And we will put,
Just see, 15th.
or we could move it to 6.
Wow, there's really not much happening that day. So all
Got
good by
it,
me.
Denise? 15th
Yes.
at 5.
And then, the swearing in at 7.
Yep.
And then the
Deb's
swearing in on
planning a
7 will
nice
be here.
little refreshments and
lovely.
all that.
Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah,
that's
that
kind of
works for
nice.
me.
So that's something that we put together this year and made that happen, so that's good. Thanks to the townspeople for that vote, and I think that's a great thing, to have everybody sworn in at the
I
same
need some
time.
continuity.
On FYI, and in part of new boards, commissions, Deb usually every other year schedules a Freedom of Information class, and that's gonna be on, I think it's the 29th, November 29th. Tom Hennick, I think he'll come down, and I think it's one of his last ones, because he's retiring.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez. Okay. Do I have a motion to,
Is that mandatory for new elected officials?
It's not mandatory, but it's suggested.
Highly recommended.
I would recommend it,
And worthwhile, I understand.
but it's not mandatory.
Motion to adjourn?
second?
Second.
So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.